5 and 20% from the people that I speak to that Islam is their religion, and who have a desire for a caliphate and to institute that in any way possible, and in particular go after what they consider Western norms, our way of life.
1.6 billion Muslims, 5%, the low number. This is a Democratic congresswoman saying this, between 5 and 20%. Doesn't that raise legitimate questions if we can't vet people coming into this country that may have that mentality that we've got to secure the homeland first?
Look, well, it's deeper than that. First of all, there are people already in the United States. There are people who are American citizens. Remember, the husband was an American citizen, born in Indiana. He's not an immigrant, and yet somehow he became isolated from American civilization and became a mortal enemy of American civilization. I'm trying to get the Congress to hold hearings to go to the very heart of this. We don't need an authorization for ISIS. We need an authorization for a worldwide war with Islamic supremacists, including in the United States. And we need to be very tough-minded. And my message to those Muslims who are concerned about hysteria is simple. You have an obligation to help clear out the mosques that are radical. You have an obligation to help turn in people who are planning terrorism. We need the help of every Muslim who would like to be accepted as an American to isolate and identify the terrorists. And I think that what we've gotten instead is the opposite. We have these organized groups that are trying to tell us to shut up, not talk about it, don't have the FBI look at it. And I think that's exactly wrong.
Well, 5% would be 60 million. That's the low side of what Loretta Sanchez is talking about. We're talking about 240 million. That's a lot of radicalized people.
God damn,
The
240 million. That's like
recruiting pool in
we only have 300 million in the
310
million people in the United States, guys.
3 to 5%, which at that time was 39 to 65 million. We have never under Bush and never under Obama had a serious strategy for dealing with this scale of insurgency and this scale of religiously inspired worldwide internet-based activity.
I have argued on this program that if Donald Trump would have cited James Clapper, our Director of National Intelligence, our Assistant FBI Director Steinbeck, James Comey, for example, any of these, General John Allen, who's the special envoy in charge of defeating ISIS, if he would have quoted their warnings, their admonitions about ISIS infiltrating the refugee population, I don't think it would be as controversial. I want to play these comments for you and ask you if you think that this is a good idea in light of what our intelligence officials are saying. Listen.
In Syria, the lack of our footprint on the ground in Syria, that the databases won't have the information we need. So it's not that we have a lack of process, it's there's a lack of information.
And that obviously raises grave concern as to being able to do proper background checks of the individuals coming into the country.
Yes.
I don't obviously put it past the likes of ISIL to infiltrate operatives among these refugees.
We can only query against that which we have collected. And so if someone has never made a ripple in the pond in Syria in a way that would get their identity or their interests reflected in our database, we can query our database till the cows come home, but we're not going to, there'll be nothing show up because we have no record on that person.
We should be conscious of the potential that Daesh may attempt to embed agents within that population.
The chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee has said ISIS does have a plan to infiltrate the refugee population, and it happened in Paris. In light of that, if Donald Trump just said it differently and cited these officials, do you think this would even be an issue?
Well, of course, there'll be an issue because you have people on the left who refuse to believe any of this. And you'd have the New York Times and you'd have all sorts of elites who are saying, oh, that's terrible, how can you say it? But I think you're putting your finger on the key turning point for the Trump campaign. He's now big enough and he's been around long enough as a candidate that he has to move up his game to being a presidential level game. Well, you just cited, had he put all that together and made that the forerunner to what he was going to say, you'd have had a totally different impact and a totally different effect. And he's going to have to learn, I think, to operate at that level if he's going to actually mature into being a nominee and a potentially serious
candidate. But you think he can go all the way?
Look, I think we're in a wide open country where who knows what's going to happen. I mean, you got Rahm Emanuel now down to 18% approval, with people demanding that he resign. You have Hillary Clinton burdened down by all of these ethics problems and email problems and you name it. We're in a different world, and I think it's very possible that you could end up with Trump going all the way. I
Last
think it's
question.
also possible that he won't get the nomination.
All right, so all the establishment Republicans, Lindsey Graham saying to Donald Trump, he can go straight to hell, and he can't even get 1% of the vote nationally. And they all make the prediction, oh, Donald Trump can't win in a general election. Well, if he was so easy to beat, why aren't they doing better against him?
Well, I think what you have is a situation where the country is dramatically alienated from the establishment. The country really wants somebody who's very tough. They want somebody who's going to kick in the door. Now, that may only be 40 or 45% of the Republican Party, but that may be a big enough base to win the nomination. And then the question gets to be, do you want to pull together